365-4100. WWDB. 365-4100. WWDB. 365-4100. WWDB.
Good afternoon once again. Welcome back to the Stan Major program. My guests have stepped into the studio. Actually, one of them broke his way into the studio here. We locked the door just to test him and make sure that he knew how to pick a lock. Tom, welcome to the program. You've just heard from a man who claims to have broken into 3,000 houses in Bucks and Mercer County and Burlington counties during the last 9 years. And I guess we can offer proof because with him is Lieutenant Albert B. Varga, who's head of detectives, criminal investigation supervisor for Hamilton Township, New Jersey. Is this a fact, sir, that this young man named Tom, and that's the only way we'll be able to identify him, has really broken into 3,000 houses?
Yes, we believe that's a fact.
Now, how have you ascertained that?
Well, I've actually been involved myself personally 3 times when Tom's been arrested for burglaries during the past 8 years. Personally involved with his arrest. Watching Tom unload goods from an entry in Hamilton Township to a fence in another location. Breaking into a home and picking him up later for the offense, and actually seeing the man go to jail for these offenses.
How much time have you spent inside?
Altogether, 3 years.
3 years. And what is your age now, Tom?
37.
How old are you? 37? When did you start, when was your first break-in?
When I got back from, I think 70, 71.
You're a Vietnam veteran?
Yes.
How come you did this?
Well, I came back with a $300 habit a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Heroin? Heroin?
Yes, the government didn't want to help me, so I found my own way.
Okay. Now then, we obviously have you here for a purpose, and you are doing this kind of thing. You are going around speaking to various groups, and your attention was drawn to us by an article in the Enquirer regarding the fact that you spoke to a group at an elementary school in Newtown Township. How often do you speak to groups?
Well, that's the third big group I spoke to. I spoke to, I think, 4 or 6 groups of officers.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started getting into it because I got out of VA hospital maybe 2 months ago, Cokesville. I was up there in a drug program, getting rehabilitated.
How are you now?
Clean, doing good, going to school.
Straightened out?
Yes. I feel a lot better about myself now.
What do you think of this guy now?
I am hoping that Tom stays this way. That's all we can do. We can just hope he stays that way. He seems intent more than ever that he's going to stay straight. Experience, and I'm not trying to put Tom down, but experience shows that it doesn't work in many cases.
Mm-hmm.
Once they start to use heroin, it's tough. But he's very intent. He's very intense in his desire to want to come around.
Now, what have police officers learned from this man?
Oh, Tom was used in a couple of training experiences with the uniform division and our detectives, and he opened our eyes. He explained to us how he gets over on police officers. A police officer going down the road, he actually waves to him prior to going into a house. As long as the police car continues on its way and he plays it cool, they're not going to bother him. Tom is upset when the police car stops, gets out and talks to him and says, now, well, who are you? What are you doing here? That bothers him. He'll leave the neighborhood. But other than that, he will not. He's a con artist, like most people involved in this kind of business.
Okay, first questions first.
Yes.
What kind of a neighborhood are you interested in?
Well, it really don't matter. Most of the time, I just spot check them. Most people think their homes are set up, but they ain't. Sometimes, usually the hours I work is from maybe 9 o'clock to 11:15 in the morning, and then I go on to 1 o'clock to 3:15 because people go to work, go to school, take the kids to school and pick them up that hours.
That's interesting. I have been told that the real pro does work the daytime hours.
Yeah, you make more. I mean, there's more business going on then. Nobody's home. And when people do see you go near the house, you play it off. Usually I have a girl with me, working with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I make believe that we're going looking for a house to buy or we're visiting neighbors. And we wave to neighbors. They never call the cops anyway. That's why, I'm doing this, trying to get more neighbors involved.
Have you found that people don't want to get involved? Is that one of the ways it's easy for a guy to break in a house?
Yes, that's one of the main problems they have now. Most people see something happen, they don't call the cops. They let it go on by.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Would you give us an example of you're obviously in the neighborhood in a car, right?
Yes.
With your girl.
Yeah.
What would you do with them?
Most of the time we'll ride around. If we see somebody pulling out of the driveway, usually we'll park half a block up the street, and I'll send her up to knock on a door, and I'll get another address. And I ask if somebody does answer the door, maybe a mother might be there or a grandmother or something like that. If they do answer the door, and we'll say we're looking for so-and-so, a different name we'll use, that lives on that block. And if there's nobody home, she'll come back, and we'll both go up there, and usually I'll get right on in.
How long does it take you to gain entrance?
15. Oh, get in maybe a minute, 2 minutes. Sometimes shorter than that. Quarter what kind of locks on the door.
You always go in through the front door?
No, sometimes I use different things every time. Maybe a window, a door, or a cellar. There's so many ways to get in the home. Yeah.
What is the one thing that a person could do who is leaving the house that could thwart you?
The only thing that scared me most of the time while I was in that kind of crime thing was alarms or neighbors.
How about a dog in the house?
No, dogs never scare me. Usually I feed them or let them out. Some dogs may be well trained, and I'll go on around somewhere else. But I'd say 90% of my jobs, the dog's home. Usually I let them out, or I give them some kind of meat in the icebox, or I take meat with me.
So a dog isn't really the answer.
No.
That's fascinating, because many people feel if they've got a pooch in the house and that pooch likes to bark when the doorbell rings or there's a knock on the door, that's going to stop whoever might be breaking in.
I done one where there's a Doberman and an Arvin setter in the house, and the kitchen was closed off, so I got an icebox, and I threw them some bacon. They didn't like bacon, so I got some roast beef, and they both went for the roast beef. And I shot up to the bedroom. They like the meat better than me.
Tom, I'm okay. You're in the house.
Yes.
The neighbors are not suspicious, but obviously, if you start carrying things out of that house in broad daylight, somebody is gonna, somebody's got to. It's got to ring a bell someplace.
Usually, I'm pretty safe there. I come out with a bag with a loaf of bread on top, or something like that. That throws the people off more. Because it looks like I got a bag of groceries. So they ain't worrying about a bag of groceries. Who's going to steal groceries out of the house?
Mm-hmm.
And the jewelry would be under the bread, or maybe any kind of box of cereal, maybe something.
Okay, are you basically looking for small items, small valuable items that you can take rather than lugging TVs, videotape recorders?
No, I used to, when I first got into it, maybe the first 2 years, TV, stereo, anything we took. But then as I found out where the money was, gold, jewelry, and silverware, I took nothing but that. I wouldn't carry no TV out, because then they're going to call the cops.
Uh-huh.
So usually I took cash, coins, jewelry, and usually I go right to the bedroom first.
You brown bagged whatever was valuable.
Yeah. And most people don't check you. I done one job where I had the back door open, and a lady came out, next door neighbor. It was one of these row houses. And I just grabbed the hose and started watering the grass. And the lady said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm taking care of the garden for the lady." Then when she went back in the house, I finished my job.
Amazing.
And they never called the cops. If they called the cops, I probably would have been caught then.
Okay. We're going to take your calls, of course. If you have any specific questions for a professional burglar on how to protect your home, this is the guy to talk to. 365-4100 on the Stan Major program on WWDB. Begin dialing in right now. These guests will be with us until 6 o'clock. We'll hope to talk to as many people as possible. It is 4:45, a quarter before the hour of 5. Time to check on traffic again. Up to the Argo jet helicopter and Walt McDonald. Walter?
Thank you very much. Another traffic note.
That Stores Unlimited, 843-7200. And Tom was just nodding his head off the air. That works?
Yeah, that usually helps out a lot, unless you got to go through a cellar window then.
All right. Now, there are a lot of people calling, and I want to put you right on the phone with them, and it's no holds barred. You give them a direct answer to their question. This is the first time Tom has been on the air, by the way, and I assume that, Lieutenant Varga, that you would like invitations for Tom to speak at various groups, so we can put people in contact with you later, and we'll give out your phone number later where they can reach you.
That's fine. That's correct.
Okay, let's go to the calls and find out if Tom can answer your question about safety in your home. You're on the air. Tom, go ahead.
Dan?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, first-time caller.
Mm-hmm.
I was interested in asking Tom whether the alarm decals, a neighbor of mine just put in one of the alarm systems installed by Sears, and I see they have decals all over the glass, the windows, the doors. I was wondering whether that scares off Tom and he might go to another house.
Yeah, that I think that's pretty good, the alarm, because that scared me off a lot of houses.
Just the decal or
Yeah, the decal, and if you do have one, a loud one is good.
a lot of noise?
Yeah, because that scares, brings the whole neighborhood, brings the cops on, and the man that's doing the job, he's got to get out of the neighborhood fast. So I think the burglar alarm is beautiful to have.
Yeah, there's been a couple of break-ins in my neighborhood, and I've seriously considered putting one in because a neighbor had one. They had a break-in, and I don't want to wait till they say close the door after the horse is out.
No, I'll get one as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your call. 365-4100 for our professional burglar on the Stan Major program. Tom, you're on the air with him. Go ahead.
Yes, Dan, I want to ask about the deadbolts, the one that has the double deadbolt that goes into the side of the door. Is that easy to get into?
No, they're pretty hard to get into. I think they're pretty safe to have.
They are safe?
Yeah, they're safer than the other locks. The other locks are easy to open.
Oh, and how about on the windows? What kind of a lock would you put on the window?
I guess I might nail them because the windows are easy to break and everything else.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's one that twists on. You know, it has like a tension thing that you twist on at the top when it's closed, but you can get to that.
I think you've got to be logical. Glass is for breaking.
Yeah, the glass, that's right.
You can cut it and open it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your call. New Jersey, you're on 96 FM with Tom. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Stan. A question about using lights at night. We keep our front light on and also one out on in the patio. Would that deter someone? And secondly, a question about putting bars on the cellar windows. I would think that'd be awful easy to kick in, and I've been considering doing that. Does he generally, or would he often go in through the cellar windows?
I think 50% of my jobs are done through cellar windows.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the lights did never scare me. I don't know about other guys, you know. But I would definitely put bars if you want to on the windows, but the burglar alarms and stuff like that work, too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Fine.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yep.
Thank you very much. There's savings excitement at Floor World, and you can take advantage of it if you for our professional burglar named Tom, who's here with Lieutenant Albert Varga of the Hamilton Township, New Jersey Police Force. 365-4100, and you're on the air on 96 FM with Stan Major and Tom.
Good afternoon, Stan.
How are you, sir?
Pretty good. I'd like to ask Tom if he's ever hit an apartment building, and if he has, what he would recommend to a tenant of a large apartment building if they have to protect their goods in, like, a basement shed. I recently had a $300 bicycle stolen from me, and my apathetic tenants, I couldn't get any cooperation from them.
The only thing I can say about that, you need the tenants to be involved with that, to watch when the kids are ever coming around stealing from you.
Well, this was they clipped the lock with bolt cutters and took it, and tenants that lived in the basement, they said they were home all day, but they apparently heard nothing, and they didn't inform me about it until like 4 days after it happened. And I'd like to know how you might suggest you'd get tenants involved before they become victims themselves.
I hope they're listening to the show here. They should get involved. That's what we're trying to do with this whole thing. Get the neighbors involved and everybody else. Just put a dent in crime.
Well, could you say how you'd protect something like a basement shed? Have you ever gone into an apartment building?
Maybe 10 years ago. I don't know. But they were very easy back then. Now, the kids are doing a lot of things now. I couldn't tell you how to protect that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. You're on the air with Tom. Go ahead.
Tom?
Yes.
You can't get in my first floor, I don't believe, because I have driven headless nails into the windows, okay? And I have excellent locks. Would you go to the second story?
I did that before. I used a ladder.
So you're not afraid of light or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Now, to me, from what I'm gathering from you, the best deterrent is noise, right?
Yes.
An alarm that goes off and screams.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your call.
Right, bye-bye.
Now there's a great way to get the kind of protection that...
You to take your calls right after the 5 o'clock news, so those people who are on the line, please be patient. We'll put you right on the line with our professional burglar, Tom, here. I want to ask you a question about a favorite break-in is the sliding patio doors. How can they be protected? Now, I live in a townhouse. I've got a patio door. I've got the piece of lumber which fits down in the thing.
Yes.
Is that going to keep somebody from getting in there?
That'll keep the door closed.
Yeah.
They can't open it.
Okay.
Unless they throw a brick through the door.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's still got to be some kind of breakage or which might be too noisy.
Yeah.
Okay. That might thwart them. What if I got one of these decals that said that I have an alarm and slapped it on the door? Do you think that would...
That'll work 80%.
80% of the time.
Some guys don't even care.
They'll just pass by and go someplace else where there isn't a decal.
Me, it scared me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll be back with Tom and your calls and comments on the Stan Major program on WWDB, the talk station. That's what I say, Walt. Welcome back to the final hour of the Stan Major program on the radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stan Major.
We have a special guest in the studio here. His name is Tom. That's how we're identifying him. He is a professional burglar who has reportedly broken into over 3,000 houses. And he's answering your questions with regard to protecting your house and home. And I would like to ask you a question before we go back to the calls, and we will go back to them in just a second. 365-4100, by the way, if you're trying to dial in. You mentioned that you zero in on valuables such as jewelry and things like this. Is there any good way to protect that kind of thing within the house so that if somebody breaks into the house to look for jewelry or silver or that kind of thing, they're going to have a problem finding it?
I think the main thing is keep it out of the bedroom. That's the main spot you look at. And one spot I don't check too much is the cellar, maybe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Or maybe,
in other words, everybody seems to want to keep their valuables very near to them when they're in the house, which is in the bedroom, especially at night. Why wouldn't a professional burglar break in at 2 a.m. in the morning?
There are some that do that, but me, I'd rather have nobody home at the time because I don't want nobody to get hurt, and I don't want to get hurt either. So usually I do it during the day or maybe at night, 6 to 8.
Have you ever had occasion to get inside, gain entrance to a house, and suddenly discover somebody inside?
Yeah, maybe 10 times.
Then what did you do?
Usually I talk my way out of it, and if it's a lady, I'll tell her, look, I don't got none of your values on me. Give me 5 minutes to get away, and boom, she'll let me get away. And then they'll call the cops, maybe. One time, a guy came and caught me in his bedroom, and he locked me in his bedroom. The only thing I'd done, I just went through the window and got out. Yeah.
Anybody ever have a firearm pointed at you?
No. I got shot at one time, but it wasn't by a civilian. It was by a cop. Yeah.
So I guess really the question I'm asking is we hear so often, Lieutenant, about hey, I've got my guns right here by the bed. I'm going to protect myself and my family, and yet here's a guy who's broken into 3,000 houses and nobody's ever pointed a firearm at him.
Well, there's nobody there.
It doesn't say much for guns, does it?
Well, there was nobody there to use the gun. I'm not saying they should shoot first and ask questions, but maybe if Tom was shot at by a irate citizen, it would have stopped him sooner. Who knows? The guns are unfortunately the primary target of many burglars, and that's what makes.
That was the next
miserable
question.
for us.
Have you ever ripped off a handgun?
Oh, maybe a couple thousand.
A couple thousand.
Yes.
And folks want to know how criminals on the street get their weapons.
Yeah, they're the main. They want defenses want guns, and a lot of people want guns. You know.
Wow.
I was working out in Texas, and I was working for a big fence out there, and we needed maybe 300-400 guns, rifles, any kind of weapon from Mexico. And I was getting them for him every month, so he could ship them to Mexico.
Okay. Let's continue with your calls for Tom the Burglar on the Stan Major program. You're on the air.
Hello, Tom. I have a question for your guest.
Yes.
Regarding the security systems out on the market, these electronic where you can wire the windows and the doors, and controlled AC/DC with switches I was wondering how effective they are to keep a burglar such as Tom out.
I think that as long as they make a lot of noise, I don't know what AC or whatever kind they are.
Well, it's what it is, AC/DC. It's if the electric goes out, it's backed up by a battery, and there's a siren and a bell.
Oh yeah, that's good. That works 100%. Not 100, maybe 90%. You know.
Look for those in the windows before you try to get in.
Yes, I do.
Do most.
I don't know. I say maybe 80% of the guys doing crime like that, they see a burglar alarm, they move on to something else.
And you know what I'm talking about by the switches on the windows and the doors.
Yes, usually.
If we have the signs in the windows, is that usually enough of a deterrent?
That's good enough. Yes, and plus some neighbor watch thing now they got going is good too. Both of them.
What light in the house is the best one to leave on?
At the front.
Inside the house would make you think there's someone at home. Would you?
No light, because usually they got blinking lights that go on every 3 or 4 hours. You know, that don't stop a burglary anyway. Not me.
Yeah.
Sure.
A light in upstairs bedroom wouldn't stop you?
No, because I'll ring the doorbell or call them on the phone if I had their phone number.
And basically, sir, again, you've got to remember what he's talking about is basically working in the daytime.
Right. Well, I'm talking the alarm systems, of course, would be on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much for your call.
Right.
Thank you. 365-4100 on WWDB. It's 11 minutes after the hour of 5, and the weather cloudy, warmy, humid this afternoon. Good chance of showers or thunder showers. Partly cloudy tonight, shower possible, low of 60. Thursday, partly sunny, chance of an afternoon shower, high of 85. Right now in Philadelphia and the Delaware Valley, it is 77 degrees, and you're on the Stan Major program with Tom the Burglar.
Hello, Tom.
How you doing?
I want to know if I'm laboring under a delusion. I live in a small neighborhood off of a main highway, but it is a cul-de-sac, and there's no other way out. And people have told me, trying to comfort me over the years, that I don't need to worry about any professional burglar coming into a house at the bottom of a cul-de-sac if he can't get out any other way. Is there any deterrent there?
I done a couple of them, you know, but as long as do you got neighbors around your house?
Yeah. There's 20 houses, and we're all practically within, well, trees clog the view, but other than that, nothing.
You know, usually that helps me out in a job, but as long as they got some kind of, like a neighborhood watch thing or, you know, anything like that, usually I look for jobs like that, too, because then I got the woods to back me up.
No kidding.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your call. 365-4100 on WWDB. We'll continue with your calls for Tom in just a moment.
Right.
Blessing to Doors Unlimited, and they can help. We'll continue with your calls and discussion of this in just a moment with Lieutenant Albert Varga and Tom, who is a professional break-in artist. Something very interesting off the air, and we want to bring it up. People who maybe be gone from the house or from the apartment for a couple of days, like old Stan, leave the stereo going. Turn a rock and roll station on with music 24 hours and leave the stereo going. Does that have any effect?
No, not really. If they got their phone number in a phone book, usually I knock on the door and I hear a stereo. I get the name, and I go check the phone book out. Then I had the girl, or if I'm by myself, call. And then if I hear the phone ring when I get up by the door, then I go inside. I pick the phone up and say everything's all right and hang it up.
I don't want to make money for Bell Telephone, and they do charge a little additional for an unlisted number or a non-listed number, but you are seriously recommending the people who have valuables in their home do not have a listing in the telephone directory?
Yeah, I would myself. I wouldn't keep my phone number in the phone book.
You agree with that, Lieutenant?
Yeah, I have to agree with Tom on that. Our professional burglars as well have those cross indexes that they'll go down the street that they can buy through certain channels, and they have everyone's phone number except the unlisted. And it's a simple matter to call each home as they go down, and they get no answer. That's the house they're going to hit.
What chance is there that somebody having an alarm system would tempt a real professional to break in? Because obviously they're not going to have the alarm system unless they're trying to keep something from somebody.
Well, to me, the alarm, if you got a loud one, if the loud system there, it scares the guy off anyway, because the neighbors.
But is there any way of circumventing the alarm system? Are there some burglars who can do that?
Oh yes, they are. If they want to take the time off in the daytime to do it, then at nighttime the people ain't home. There are people that could cross the wires or something like that and unhook it and go on in.
But you're not saying that the simple fact that they have an alarm system is going to draw a burglar to try to compete with that and get into that house, because obviously if they have something like that for protection, then maybe they do have more valuables inside the house than, let's say, the guy down the block that doesn't have the alarm system.
That could be right, but, you know, my opinion about it, I think alarm's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know about it.
What is your experience, Lieutenant?
Well, I was going to say, if a burglar knows you have something in the house and he is particularly interested in getting it, like a coin collection, gun collection, he's going to be the guy that's going to circumvent the alarm.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to go in regardless. But with Tom's case and 90% of the burglaries, it's a hit-and-miss situation.
They just go down the street,
they just go down the street.
looking for the right place.
Right. With the burglar alarm, with the wires cut or done professionally, that's usually someone who's been picked out ahead of time. Some studying has been done to know exactly what they have in the house.
Setup job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's already been planned. You know how to turn the alarm off. You even got a key in the cellar where the alarm might be there, where you turn it off and on. They got alarms all hooked in the doorway where you got to turn it, and it turns it on, turns it off. You know, when you come in, when you go out, turns it on.
You ever do any car break-ins?
Maybe a long time ago. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think the car break-ins don't park in a dark parking place because they ain't safe nowhere really nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Cars.
Pretty easy to get into.
Yeah, they're
car.
very easy. Coat hangers. You know, there's so many ways. If they want to get into it, throw a rock through the window.
Okay, let's go back to your calls for Tom on the Stan Major program. Let's go to New Jersey. You're live on 96 WWDB.
Dan, I don't know if this question's been asked before. I just tuned in. I'd like to ask Tom how he feels about beware of dog signs, and I have an 85-pound Doberman. I wonder if that's a deterrent to burglars generally.
To me, it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe other guys it would, but that's like, to me, it was like a challenge. You know, if a dog does really come at me, I'll just shut the door in his face and then get out.
Well, in other words, it is an effective deterrent in the sense that you would shut the door in his face.
Or I'll try to lock him in another room, because sometimes, you know, that dog could be quick.
Yeah, they are quick.
Well, Tom also mentioned that at times, if there was a dog there, he would carry some food with him, right?
Yeah.
They'll go for that in most cases?
Most times the dog's hungry anyway.
Yeah, I understand that. I live on the woods, and I know that, you know, particularly subjected to this type of thing in the sense that the person can get away pretty quickly. I was wondering if, do you case a job in the sense that you would look to see if there is a dog and run around a backyard that, you know, Doberman are pretty good size, would tend to deter you and kill on the easier stuff in that sense?
Well, sometimes, if I seen a sign saying "Beware a dog," I'll attempt it anyway.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You're on the air with Tom. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm a widow. I've been robbed 5 times, and each time that I've been robbed, I added something else to my house. Now I have deadlocks. I have an alarm system. But anybody that goes to dare touch that alarm system that's on the outside of the house, the alarm will go off, so they can't cut any wires in my house. I've even found a boy in my bedroom at 1:45 in the morning, and all I want to ask is, if I don't start crying, is do they know what they do to people when they do things to take people's valuables from people that their husbands have given them over the years, and they just take out and buy heroin? I'll tell you the truth, I really don't feel sorry for that boy. I don't think he should be making money making speeches to this one or that one.
Ma'am, he isn't making any money.
No, when he wants to go to speeches, he just wants to talk to children.
He's just going out with the police department as a public service. He is not paid, and he simply informs people as he's doing on this program now.
Right. All right, Stan. I've never called before. I have so much venom.
I can understand how you feel, ma'am, and we have a lieutenant of the police department here who probably has met many, many people like you. And he understands how you feel also, but he feels that Tom is doing people a service by virtue of informing them, giving you a few hints as to what works best.
Well,
in order to avoid the problem you're talking about.
Right. My husband always said if a burglar wants to get in, he'll get in no matter what the hell you got, whether you got a dog or an alarm system, they'll find it to get in if they want to get in. And I believe it, but I have an alarm system now. I found the boy in my bedroom, called the cops, and the cops said he wasn't 16, they couldn't do nothing about it. And there I was, left. The boy. And the policeman, the detective said, I can't do anything about it, miss. Don't even press charges. Don't lose time from work. You'll be losing money. He won't be losing anything because they won't press charges. He's not 16 yet.
Is this New Jersey or Pennsylvania?
Philadelphia, Northeast Philadelphia. Northeast Philadelphia.
Okay, you have different laws than we do in New Jersey when it comes to a 16-year-old. We can charge the boy as a juvenile delinquent, and it is tougher. They get less severe penalties and they're handled so lightly. We understand. But you know what? The thing you can do, you can assure a little more safety if you get your police department into a crime watch program, or make sure they have a vigorous drug enforcement program, because most of these people are on drugs, and that's probably the root of a lot of the problem.
Well, my old saying is I raised two boys, never had any trouble, at the same age as that boy is that's talking on there now, and I never had any problem, and I always said God didn't produce bad boys.
No, that's true.
Produce bad boys.
Okay, ma'am, thank you very much for your call.
In thousands of shops and companies throughout the city.
The hour, let's continue with your calls. You're on WWDB, the Stan Major program, with Tom.
Yes, Stan, I have a question for Tom.
Yes.
You mentioned about leaving the stereo or the radio on. Would it also help to leave either a stereo or a radio and take the phone off the hook?
Yes, that would help.
Or even, I know sometimes when I go out, I just take the phone off the hook anyway.
Yeah, that would be good right there, because then nobody can call or find out if you're really home anyway.
Right. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good idea. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay.
Stan Major, you're on the air.
Thank you. Stan?
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Stan. Hello, Tom.
How you doing?
I'm caller. Stan, please be kind to me.
I'm kind to everybody, ma'am. You know I'm the nice guy on the radio.
Well, I know you know everything. I know it, but it just makes me nervous. Okay. Because I guess I don't know everything. Okay. Tom?
Yes.
It is a crazy situation here. My husband, we're married for 6 years come July. Live out so-called main line. Come from a large family in the city, grew up in the city, finally went off my own, one of these late marriage people. Lived in an apartment in Northwest. Should I even mention the area? I don't know. It turned out I heard...
Ma'am, you've got to get to the point.
Okay, the point is, I have been burgled about 10 times in my life. Do burglars follow people around or what? Okay, live here in so-called mainline. There are a heck of a lot of people here, much richer than I, with many, many more jewels. From November of 79, maybe I shouldn't even have said that, okay, double locks on the doors, screen porch in the back, a little piece of glass bashed through, 10 by 18.
Okay, ma'am, I'm going to put you on hold, and while the news is on, off the air, you can ask Tom your question, because I just can't go any further. Will you hold on?
All right, thank you.
Okay, you hold on. We'll be right back for the final half hour. Don't go away.
Philadelphia, in the western suburbs, and in New Jersey, 365-4100. WWDB. 365-4100. WWDB. 365-4100. WWDB.
Good afternoon once again. Stan Major back with Lieutenant Albert Varga of the Criminal Investigations. He's a supervisor, Criminal Investigations for Division of Police, Hamilton, New Jersey, and with him is a professional burglar, Tom, and that's the only way we can identify him, who is trying to help you out and help me out with regard to making our place of abode safer from break-ins. 365-4100. We shall continue up until 5:55, and let's take another call from New Jersey. You are on WWDB with Tom. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm calling from Hamilton Township. I'd like to address my question to Lieutenant Varga. Was Tom a big problem in Hamilton, and how many times did he break into homes in this township?
Tom was a major problem when he was doing his burglaries in Hamilton Township. Yes, he was locked up 3 separate times for burglaries in Hamilton Township.
And how long did it take you to really catch him and, I guess, get him off the streets?
Well, it's taken a couple of years in one instance, and then of course Tom was also involved with heroin along with a few other people, and that's basically what led to his arrest, with the problems with drugs.
Okay, I'm also a fireman. I'd like to know if Tom was involved in any arsons in the area, because I know lately we've been having troubles with arsons and break-ins.
No, I can say this. Tom, as far as we know, has not been involved in a crime in the past 8 to 10 months.
8 to 10 months. Okay, good, very good.
Thank you, sir. Good to hear from you.
Okay, thank you.
Should ask him if he worries about break-ins of the fire department. 22 minutes before the hour of 6 on WWDB. You're on the air on 96 FM.
Hi, Stan. How are you?
Okay.
I was listening to Tom, and Tom was saying that when he comes into a house, he looks for coins and jewelry. Is that correct?
Yes.
I thought that your listeners might like to know about a great new facility located out in Bryn Mawr. I was out there, and it's called the Holding Company, a private safe deposit center. and your listeners could store their valuables there rather than keeping them at home, so that people like...
They can also get a safety deposit box in any bank. Thank you very much. You got your plug in. We'll send you a bill for $100,000 in the mail. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Sam, am I on the air?
You sure are, sir.
Okay, I'd like to address my question, Lieutenant Varga.
He's listening.
I heard him mention the fact about a crime watch. Does he feel that it's fair to talk about a crime watch when we pay for 4 different sets of police now?
You pay for 4 sets of police now, sir. What are they?
Well, the FBI, the state police, the county police, and the town police.
Well, the crime watch is still a good way to go because it involves your neighbors as well as the police officers.
Yeah, but don't you think the police maybe ought to do a little more? I mean, with 4 of them doing the same job?
Well, there's a few problems. The FBI are only concerned with violations of federal law. Your state police patrol your rural highways. I don't know how they patrol in your town, but your local police are the ones responsible for the burglaries in your neighborhood, I would assume.
The town.
Sir, you're wasting our time, okay? Goodbye. 20 minutes before the hour of 6 on WWDB. You're on the air with Tom. Go ahead.
Yes, Tom, I'd like to ask a question. Is there any way a person like yourself can obtain information, say, if we don't have our name on the mailbox and you want to break in, do you have any kind of access to a personal directory of any sort to get a phone number?
No, I don't, but maybe one of my friends would. I don't know.
I was wondering because we do not have our name on the mailbox or on the house or anything like that, and I was wondering when you said you cased neighborhoods with your girlfriend, how you got names.
Usually, the mailman does come around, don't he?
Yes, uh-huh.
Is there mail in the mailbox?
As a rule, yes.
Wouldn't there be your name on there?
Yes.
Okay, there.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now, how are you going to avoid that? Have a kind of mailbox that he can get into,
Yeah,
right?
Doorway, I guess.
Or a door slot?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And again, you recommend not being listed in the telephone directory. How many burglars do you suppose, Lieutenant, use this cross-reference address thing?
That cross-reference is used by your more polished professional burglar, I believe.
Like a gang of them, maybe?
Yes. Yeah, they're looking for something specific, usually, as a rule, anyway.
Okay. And as you mentioned earlier, Doors Unlimited has a security system that is really works. Howard Eskin is here to tease us about sports talk at 6:05. And Howard, what can I tell you? I understand, Howard, that baseball is going to have to start, especially the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to have to start recruiting more whites to keep the fans coming.
You saw that story in the paper the other day?
Isn't that interesting?
Basketball has already tried that, and they failed. That's why the attendance is so poor.
Isn't that amazing?
That there is, in the eyes of some people, that there is a problem as far as white athletes, and the Pittsburgh Pirates or their chief scout said that there is a problem. I don't know how severe a problem it is in other cities. Certainly Pittsburgh, there is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Boston has a team that had 5 white players on the court at one time in Saturday and Sunday's games. Maybe that's why they lost.
Good point.
I don't know. We'll find out tonight. Maybe Bill Fitch will realize when the Sixers play the Celtics tonight in Game 5, or Game 5 at the Boston Garden, that he cannot put 5 white players on the court at the same time. I mean, you just can't win that way. So it's got to be maybe Larry Bird plus 4 blacks. Maybe you can go that route. But anyway, on a serious note, and that is serious, to tell you the truth, that is part of the problem, I'm sure, in NBA attendance. But the Sixers and the Celtics tonight, the Sixers would rather get it over with tonight. Because once you get to Friday, and if you get to Game 6, things can get a little tight, and you're afraid about going back to Boston, so I'm sure they would like to end it tonight. The Phils also playing tonight, trying to break a 2-game losing streak. I haven't said that in a long time. At Veterans Stadium, Steve Carlton will try to break the losing streak, and he'll go against the Astros. It is the final game of the current homestand. We'll talk about that. Basketball, I'm sure, is on most people's minds. We'll talk about all that tonight at 6.
All righty, Howard Eskin, the king of sports talk, and he may even have something to say about Rod Luck. Who knows? Rod Luck's luck ran out in Atlantic City. Bad luck. It is 5:45, a quarter before the hour. Our final check on traffic. Up we go to our Walt McDonald and the Arco Go Patrol report. All right, let's go back to your calls for Tom the Burglar and for Lieutenant Varga from the Hamilton, New Jersey Police Department here on the Stan Major program. A call from New Jersey. You're on 96 FM.
Yeah, I would like to ask Tom, it seems as though that bells don't work and lights don't work. How about 10 years in jail? That would have worked.
Yeah, that would have worked.
You got it, sir. Thank you very much for your call. 11 minutes before the hour on WWDB, the new forecast is in. Scattered thunderstorms this evening, possibly accompanied by strong gusty winds. Variable cloudiness, a chance of a few showers overnight, the low 62. Partly cloudy, warm and humid tomorrow. Thunder showers likely in the late afternoon or evening, high tomorrow 85. And going to clear up a little bit Thursday night and Friday, partly cloudy. Right now in Philadelphia, it is 75 degrees. Back to Philadelphia for a call. You're on the Stan Major program with Tom. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have two questions for Tom. Question number one is, I live in a township where we have an engraving, where you engrave your objects, where the police come out and they give you an engraver and you engrave your, I guess it's your driver's license number on these objects, and then they give you stickers to put on the windows and so forth. I guess the first question is, does that sort of thing deter you, Tom?
Sometimes it did, but most of the time, you know, you're getting rid of the stuff in a half hour anyway.
So the engraved doesn't mean anything?
To me, it didn't back then. Yeah.
The other question I got is, you mentioned earlier that sound and light burglar alarms do have a tendency to scare you off. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. The question is, do these things have to be hooked to the police to have any value, or just, you know, I mean, do you have to know that the police are coming in behind this thing?
No, not really.
No, Tom often, this is Lieutenant Varga, I just want to interrupt for a minute. Tom wouldn't know the difference between one that's hooked to the police or not. He basically was frightened of the audio alarm that's hooked up on the outside. It just screams or makes a loud noise.
Okay, so what you're saying is it doesn't, central station hookup is...
I think anything that attracts the neighbors. Right, Tom?
Yeah, because the sound alarm, the guy don't know if it's going off. By the time he gets there and gets out, the cops might get there too late and he's gone.
Okay, in other words, you'd go in and... If you were going to go in, it wouldn't matter if you knew the police were... Would the time interval matter? I mean, you know, it's going to take some time for the cops to get there.
No, I think you misunderstand. The alarm would scare Tom off.
Okay.
Okay? Yep. Thank you very much. 10 minutes before the hour, do you enjoy the richness of a clear blue sky? Are you tired of being disappointed by your photographs? Perhaps it's not your own fault. It could be your processing. Ritz returns your pictures printed on Kodak paper. Kodak paper for the good look. Ritz offers quick service as fast as tomorrow. And they have the very best quality and at a fair price from 19 cents per print. Now, to experience quality in your picture, go to a nearby Ritz Camera Center and ask for the big print. The Ritz Big Print is up to 37% larger than the industry standard at no extra charge. How about that? You'll find your picture showing color, clarity, and contrast that will please even the most skeptical critic. Remember, the Ritz Big Print brings you a 37% bigger picture printed on Kodak paper for the good look at no extra charge. The Ritz Big Print can only be found at Ritz Camera Centers.
We hear you on WWDB, the talk station.
We have a couple of minutes left. We'll take one comment from each person that we answer on the telephone and one answer, Tom, okay? You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello, I live in an apartment building near on Belmont Avenue near City Line. The security is very bad. When you come in after 10 o'clock, the doorman has all the doors open, and he's sleeping in some corner. Now, I live on the third floor. I have a patio, and I live alone. What can I do? I'm frightened.
Get the neighbors involved that you live with you near there.
Pardon?
Get the neighbors involved, ma'am, and wake the guy up. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Well, you are saying to get the neighbors involved. Well, I'll tell you, it's the neighbors that I'm afraid of. What can you do about that?
I don't know then, you know.
I have a neighbor next door that has two boys. One quit school before graduating. The other one graduated. They hang around the house.
Ma'am, we can't answer that kind of question. Tom is here as a professional burglar.
But I want to know what I...
We cannot answer that kind of question. There's no way we can help you. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Well, Stan, I don't know if you've answered this question before or not, but I'd like to know how effective exterior lighting is at night in terms of deterring burglaries.
I don't think it'll work.
You don't?
No, I think an alarm and get the neighbors involved with a watch thing around the neighborhood, that's the best thing for your neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Because we have a town watch in our area, and the police chief, we're in New Jersey, the police chief has said that in his opinion, at night at least, exterior lighting, maintaining your outdoor lights near doors and entry points is one of the most effective means.
Yeah, that's good at night, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I was...
If you have a crime watch, because then your people are going to see the burglar and they can report it. If there's no crime watch, the lights don't mean very much.
Exactly.
Thank you very much for your call. You're on the air from New Jersey with Tom. Go ahead.
Help! I'm an invalid, and I'm in the house, and they ring the doorbell.
I can see through a mirror. I do not answer the doorbell. So what would happen if Tom came into the house? I'm right there. I don't answer the bell.